Okay, let's take a look at the most important project settings that we have. On the lower left of the screen, you're going to find the settings icon. The first thing we have is the master project settings. This is where you determine important things about your project. First, your timeline's resolution. Are you working in HD, 2K, or 4K? Your pixel aspect ratio, is it square, CinemaScope, or 16:9? The timeline frame rate. The timeline frame rate is set once before you actually import any footage. Once you import your footage, your timeline frame is set. Next, we have the playback frame rate. This is the frame rate for your screen playback. So when you're playing your footage on the monitor here, what frame rate is your footage being played at? If you have a lower power machine, you can change this number to make your machine more relaxed while you're playing your footage. Then image processing, just keep this to 32 bits. The color space. We have two main color spaces in DaVinci, YRGB and ACES color space. ACES stands for Academy Color Encoding Specifications, which is basically a way to make all the footage that comes from all the cameras and all the devices. So you know, every manufacturer, they have certain specifications for color on their devices. Like on cameras, Sony might have different way of interpreting color than Canon, and even for displays. So this is an attempt to actually try to standardize the whole thing. We're going to keep our concentration on YRGB now. Then you have the video monitoring. This is the format where you're monitoring your video when it goes to an external playback monitor, which you're not going to be doing now. This is the video that is being sent to your external monitor. So you have your video format first, which is in this case HD 1080p, and you know, the video connection, what kind of connection are you using your video, the color space, video bit depth. You can choose all the options here. Then we have image scaling. This determines how DaVinci scales your image. You notice that the first option here is optimized for playback, which will try to use less power from your machine to play back your footage. And you have sharper and smoother and all the other options. Then you have the anti-aliasing options, the debarrier quality. Okay, the next option is input scaling presets. So what if your timeline is in HD and you have an SD file in the middle? Basically, Resolve is asking, how should I scale this? So you have center crop with no resizing, okay, scale full frame with crop, and scale entire image. So usually what I do, I would take this to scale full frame with crop, and which basically scales the image to, you know, a larger size and crops any extra parts that, you know, were just outside our current aspect ratio. Then you have other options for editing. This is like pre-roll time, post-roll time, standard transition duration, you know, standard stuff for editing. Then you have camera raw. Raw recording is basically when a camera captures all the information from the sensor without turning the information into an image. When the light hits the sensor, it's just information that needs to be translated at a later stage into an image that we can understand. Some cameras will actually, instead of turning the information that hits the sensor into an image, will just capture all the information that hits the sensor. It's a better way, definitely, but it just adds to the workflow a bit. So not everybody's using this method at the moment, and not all cameras are equipped with this option at the moment. Then we have lookup tables. Lookup tables are basically preset color grades. You can just look at them that way. Then you have versions, audio, are you playing audio, general options, dick capture and playback if you have you know, an external device for capture and playback, which we don't here. Then you have the control panel. Okay, instead of using the keyboard and mouse to color grade, there are these control surfaces that comes you know, equipped with the right controls for DaVinci Resolve. They are definitely faster to use, so if you have a very long project, they will definitely cut your time in half, but they just won't add any quality to the image. They won't make the image look any different than if it was graded with a keyboard and mouse. And lastly, you have the autosave options.